Welcome back to A Moment in History. I'm 𝙎𝙬𝘽𝘎𝘾. At the start of the final decade of the 20th century, the world was rapidly changing. The Cold War, which had loomed over the West with the threat of nuclear war for over 40 years, was about to end. Technology and computers were on the rise, and tension was growing in the Middle East. Presiding over this pivotal time in American history was a determined former baseball star and World War II hero looking to lead the country in the footsteps of his predecessor, whom he had served as vice president. He was the 41st president of the United States, George H.W. Bush. Now, Bush was born in 1924 and served as a young naval pilot during World War II. He returned a hero from the war, having braved immense danger, including one instance where he was actually shot down in the Pacific, but survived. After his return home, he married his wife, Barbara. Now, Bush was so young that he actually went to college after his time in the service and after he got married, attending Yale. Over the next several decades, Bush, who had moved from his birthplace in Massachusetts down to Texas, entered politics, first at the state level and then nationally. Before his entrance on the national stage in 1980, he was the ambassador to the UN and the director of the CIA, and that was just some of the roles that he served. Now, in 1980, Bush made a run for the presidency as a Republican. He did not win the nomination, but he got a consolation prize as the running mate for the wildly popular Ronald Reagan. The Reagan-Bush ticket came to define the 1980s in America, and by the time Reagan had served his final term, Bush was the ideal replacement. He won the 1988 election to become the nation's 41st commander-in-chief. Now, while in office, Bush continued much of what his predecessor had started, aiming for the peace through strength American ideal that Reagan had coined. Bush succeeded, seeing the official end of the Cold War in 1991 and also overseeing a successful special American operation in the Middle East known as Desert Storm. Bush's presidency was largely a success, but he could not generate that success into a second term. He lost the 1992 election to Bill Clinton, which ended his time in office. But his time in the public eye was far from over. Bush remained a respected elder statesman in his later years, especially in light of his son and namesake George W. taking the Oval Office himself in 2000. Bush was beloved by many Americans on both sides of the political aisle all the way until his death in 2018 at 94 years old. Thanks so much for joining me once again for A Moment in History. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe. And if you want us to cover one of your favorite moments in history, you can tell us in the comments. Now stay tuned for some new content.